Welcome to the place where we learn about improv, 'cause public speaking can take you so far. Improbly speaking, say yes and flex your creative thinking. Improbly speaking, say yes and flex your creative thinking.
Welcome, everyone, to the Improvly Speaking podcast. So excited that you're joining today. I want to appreciate you for showing up, listening to another episode. If this is your first time joining, thanks for checking us out, and I hope you like it. Hope you'll come back. I am so excited about today's episode and today's guest. A little bit for our newcomers and people joining us again. On this podcast, I like to talk to experienced improvisers, people who take improv classes to help them in their careers and personal life, and those who use improv in their daily lives but don't think about it as improv. And today's guest is an experienced improviser. He is taking, I think he referred to himself as the workshop connoisseur, always taking workshops, always trying to grow in the improv world. And he also has a story about improv and how improv has changed his life, saved his life. And we will dive into that more for sure. So I'm so excited that you're joining, and let's jump in with today's guest, Erick Escalante. Erick is based in San Diego, California. As an improviser, he performs at Finest City Improv on a few teams, actually a good bit of teams, the E&E Chronicles, Breaking the News, Brown Privilege, Fish Milk, great name, and improvised clown shows, and he'll be beginning the graduate program. He's doing a lot of things. He's very busy. He also helps produce the San Diego Voice Box alongside Gene Dietrich and Dave Bowers. He is trained at Finest City Improv, Mockingbird Improv, and Cornerstone Improv, and also taken many acting classes at Southwestern College. This past October, and probably most likely October 2023, definitely, you can catch him as a scare actor, which is the official term, scare actor at the Balboa Park Haunted Trails in San Diego, which I think is fascinating. I can't wait to talk more about that too. That's so cool. Erick says that improv saved his life and helped him become sober, tackle his depression, reemerge into the world, and be more responsible. And we will get into all that, what that means to him, how that happened. I can't wait. Please welcome the one, the wonderful, the very talented Erick Escalante. Welcome, Erick.
Woo! Yes, thank you for having me, Dana. It's been a while. Good to see you. Thank you. It's my first podcast ever. This is very exciting.
It is very exciting. I love it. And I never worry about improvisers on podcasts because I know we can just riff and talk. I know you'll do great. So I'm excited for you. And first of many, too.
Yes, first of many.
My goal one day, and I'm just putting it out there, I don't know if this is your goal, but I want to be on Comedy Bang Bang one day, which means I have to really work on my character development. But I want to be on Comedy Bang Bang, so I'm going to manifest that, put that out in the world. If I just make it on Comedy Bang Bang as a character, I've made it. I'm done.
That's good. You know, if you have a dream, keep working for it because eventually you're going to start living it.
And we're working on it.
Yeah.
I'm going to make some characters first, but yeah. Exactly. And for our listeners, Erick and I met at Camp Improv Utopia last year, actually, in 2022 at the Yosemite camp. And I've done a few episodes now on camp. I didn't mean to make it a lot about camp, but camp was actually a really big deal for me. And Erick was a part of that camp. We were in the same deconstruction group taught by the wonderful Brian James O'Connell.
Love him.
Or BOC. Love him. Fantastic. Erick, I wanted to ask you, how was camp for you, first of all?
Oh, where do I begin? Well, it was my first camp ever. And my first time also to Yosemite, so that was another reason for me to go. But everyone at the Finest City Improv that I talked to was just always talking about camp. Camp, camp, camp. You got to go to camp. You got to go to camp. Everyone talks about how it changed their lives and how it was amazing. You get to network and meet all these people that you become friends with, and you network and just become like lifelong friends. And every time you see each other at camp again, it's like a reunion of sorts. And I wanted to experience that, and I wanted to go see Yosemite and hike because I've seen the pictures, I've seen the videos, and I wanted to experience it for myself. I really, really am glad I went.
Yeah. How long did you hike? Do you remember how long your hike was at Yosemite?
It wasn't too bad. Maybe like 5 miles total, but it was a lot of
5 miles.
incline, a lot
Yeah.
of steps, at the end. That was probably the hardest part is the steps were improvised themselves because they're just kind of carved out of the mountain. So they're like, they're not like every step is not the same length from the next step. It's like some are like really high, some are low.
I feel that too with the improvised steps. I think I only did like a 2 to 3 mile hike. I might be adding a mile there. I think our hike was only 2 miles. I'll have to go back and check. It felt like forever because of the elevation, and I
Yeah.
can remember those improvised steps that you're talking about. And on the way down, I was hiking with a camper, Evan, and we started doing an improv game, an ABC game, where it's like she would say a word that started with A. I had to say a word that related to it with starting with B. And we just played ABCs all the way down because we were so tired.
Just keep your mind off of it, right?
Yeah, it actually
Get
helped.
through
We should
it.
have done that on the way up, but we couldn't breathe. So,
Right. No, yeah, the elevation change was definitely an eye opener or a lung opener, if you will.
yeah, yeah. And I'm so excited that you decided to go to camp and that we met and we did deconstruction together. I mean,
Yeah.
it was
What
so
an
cool.
endeavor.
And I know we kept
It
saying
was
that. It was so cool.
it was just too cool. I had taken a class with BOC before, the decon class in person, and that's when my jaw dropped the entire class. I was like, "What is this? I need more of this. You can do this in improv." Um, and because up to that point, the highest thing I had learned was the Herald, and that's when I learned,
Mhm.
that if the Herald is like algebra, then the decon is like calculus, and I was all
Yeah.
about it. I just wanted more and more and more, and I took BOC for another like a Zoom class before that, and then saw him at the camp.
That was my first time taking a class with him at camp, and it was pretty magical, just the whole experience. And I just keep thinking back to our show in one of my previous episodes, Taking the Leap of Faith at Improv Camp and Beyond. I go through the whole structure of decon, like it's a grounded scene and then it's a dramatic or thematic scene. But Eric, you were a part of the grounded scenes in our class show, which those grounded scenes are really tough. So kudos to you for just happen to end up being in the grounded scene too. I'll never forget that.
I'm getting goosebumps right now thinking about it. Actually, whew. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was because you got to just step up, and the best thing about that is you feel so supported because
Mhm.
you can't do wrong. You can only just be real, and that's what those scenes were. And it was really hard for me in a way because I'm very not grounded person. I'm doing improv. I'm always doing wacky characters and accents, or just trying to do weird voices, or I'm a troll or something. So being
That's
a
funny.
grounded, just a human being character was a challenge, but I really enjoyed it. I thought it like life really makes you challenge yourself. Don't just stay the same. Which is actually the next voice box is about change.
Yeah, and I definitely want to talk about the voice box shows that you do because those sound really cool. But first, I wanted to ask you about improv. Why did you start taking improv classes in the first place? I know you did acting in high school and in college. Was improv a part of that?
Well, in high school, it was just with theater. We had a really good teacher in our theater program in Castle Park High School. Her name was we call her Miss Stratton.
Oh, Miss
But
Stratton.
Miss Susan Stratton. We call her Susan now. We still talk to her actually. She's still a good friend of
Really?
ours.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, she's still, she's still in the acting scenes. I think she does like the Old Town ghost tours, but she was very professional.
Nice.
She was like not like your typical or average, as you would say, theater actor for high school. Like okay, kids, have fun. She was like really drilling us to be like professional and be very, 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 just be good. Don't just. She
Yeah.
wanted to be like actors. She was really like a really good director, and we did have some improv at some points. Like we would, you know, I think Who's Landed Anyway was really big back in then, 2004, 2003.
Mhm.
So we played
Yeah.
sometimes we would play some short form games just to have fun on stage. Um, that was like kind of like my first real like dive into any improv whatsoever was just playing short form on at high school.
Nice. So what made you want to like sign up for class? When did you start taking classes? Did you start at Finest City Improv?
I did. I started at Finest City Improv in June or July of 2021, right after the restrictions for COVID were lifted.
Whoa.
But I
Okay. That
had
was,
a
yeah, during the pandemic.
yeah, it's like right after the pandemic. Well, it was still going on, right? But they had kind of
Yeah.
lifted the restrictions. We were taking
Right, right.
classes. We still had to wear masks, so it was a little challenging. You can't you got to be really physical with your eyes and your body because they can't see your mouth. Um,
Yeah. Mhm.
but I had that urge to do improv for years, and the founder or the CEO of Finest City Improv, Amy, I think it's Amy Lasuski, if I'm saying that right. I had seen her at the 2016 San Diego Film Awards. It was like independent films, and she and some
Nice.
other person were the hosts of that show. And I remember just thinking to myself, like, oh, this girl is hilarious. And then I found out later on she does this theater. And so I kind of like in the back of my mind, like, oh, I'll do that one day. I really want to do that. And then like, I think it was around like 20, it was like March 1st of 2020. I was like, I'm going to take a class. And then the funniest thing happened. The
What?
pandemic.
The fu
The
Yeah,
pandemic, yeah.
the funniest thing
The
happened and
funniest thing
derailed
happened.
everybody.
Derailed everybody, and they were still doing online classes, but I just didn't want to do Zoom classes. I wanted to be in person, so I waited until the restrictions were lifted, and I took the first class available, and that's when I started with fish milk.
Oh, fantastic. Oh my gosh. Wow, so I mean, I know you've been acting for a while, but I guess did you find a lot of differences in, your acting classes versus these improv classes?
Yeah, yes. So the improv classes focuses a lot more on just like play and just letting yourself
Mm,
go, and a lot of listening. Not that acting does have listening too, but the improv really just focuses more on playing with others, riffing off each other. There's no script,
mhm.
so you gotta just make stuff up, do some make 'em ups, and I think it's a whole different ball game, to be honest, because with acting you rehearse and you rehearse and you rehearse, and you have these lines, and maybe you'll improvise some things here or there because you might go blank, at some point, but with improv you don't got to worry about that. You just come on stage with another person that's on the same boat as you are, and you just listen to each other and you build a relationship and you just talk. And the funny will come out. You don't even have to try to be funny. It'll come out.
That was the biggest thing I had to learn too, was to not force the funny. It was, because you see it
Yes.
on TV and you're like, they're so good and
Mm-hmm.
it's just so funny, and you're like, I think I'm very coy. That's so always, I get that note a lot, that I'm very coy. Like I try to be funny, or like do a pattern, like I force a pattern, or I've had to learn to like step back and just let it happen. Don't force it.
Yeah, and I had that same problem too when I started improv. I was trying to do jokes, and
Mm-hmm.
I got the
Yeah.
note from the teacher, like, don't go up there and tell jokes. Just listen to the other person and just be natural. Don't force things.
Right, because if you tell a joke, kind of a joke on the scene, or just maybe a joke that fits, sure, it's going to get a laugh, but then what? Then what happens, right?
Right. Yeah. Just the point of it is just to listen, really.
Yeah, and I mean, my listening skills have improved tremendously thanks to improv. And going back to camp, I
Mhm.
real quick, I remember after camp, everyone was on such a camp high,
Yeah.
and we all had this big email thread going on where everyone said like, "Oh, camp was so amazing. Like I learned this, this, and this." I sent out a long email about my takeaways. I know like everyone had an email about camp was so cool. It was so nice to meet everyone.
Yeah. More like
And
an
I
essay.
remember right. Yeah, actually, it wasn't a long email. It was an essay
Yeah.
about how good camp was. And in that essay, you said that improv saved your life and helped you get sober. So, would you mind sharing that with us in whatever capacity you feel comfortable sharing?
Yeah, of course. So, uh, well, actually, this month, January 2023, will be 1 year of sobriety for
Yeah.
me. Yeah, raise the roof.
Woo! Race, you got to celebrate every anniversary.
Yeah, so
Soberversary, I think they call
so
it too.
I'm gonna have my 1 year relapse party. No, I'm just kidding. Uh,
No, no.
no, that's a joke. I've been telling people. No, well, when I think the first two levels of improv, I was first three levels. I was getting high a lot, and I've been getting high since I was 18. So about 17 years, and it got to the point where I was like, it was just an addiction. I wasn't even having fun with it. It
Mhm.
was just something that my body would crave because I needed it to feel normal, and I was also drinking. So drinking and alcohol and smoking weed or vaping weed, have that little portable vape, take it everywhere you go. And
Yeah, yeah.
so I was just kind of just downhill, and it really kind of kicked up a notch in like 2017, in April 2017, when one of my best friends had a really bad like malpractice accident. He was the one that got me into theater and acting high school. My best friend Julio, who he survived, but he fortunately had very severe brain damage from the loss of oxygen, and he
Oh,
was
no.
acting career and everything was cut short. And he lives at home with his parents and they take care of him, but it was a big blow to me that we had all these things planned, all these like little
Mm.
sketches that we were writing, and like dumb things that we just wanted to talk about and do, and just do some funny stuff. And I got real depressed, and I got more into the drugs and the alcohol, and then the pandemic came, and I was just locked up in home, nothing else to do but you know get high all the time, every day, every hour. And then, oh, I don't have any weed, well, let me just drink this bottle here. So I was just kind of just numbing myself, really just numbing myself from the emotions and from life, and just feeling comfortable in the essentially what I would call laziness, comfortable in the laziness of not wanting to live, and the fear of life. And so I took some improv. It was really helping me out, and I think around level 3, because I would vape before class. Sometimes I would vape before shows, and I'd be like, I don't feel like I'm doing well. I'm on the sidelines here, and I completely missed what that entire scene was about because I was in my head thinking about something else. So I was like, I think I have a problem. I have an issue. And then one day, my brain was just like, Eric, I am tired of this. You gotta just stop. And so I did. I just literally just went cold turkey. The first couple of weeks were hard. They always are. And then
Mm-hmm.
it just got easier from there. And the community that the improv brings, the friendships that I've gained from there, really helped with that sobriety. Just that like brotherhood and sisterhood of good people, really, of people that want the best for you, people that reminded me of my friend, little bits and pieces here and everyone that I would see.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wanted to be just a better performer, better at life. Don't be relying on these substances to numb my emotions all the time. And so I've been sober ever since, and I feel great. I I feel much better, I think, as a performer. Honestly, I can think a lot quicker. That's for sure.
I bet. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm not stoned, I'm not dumbed down, and I'm numbed to things, so I'm able to feel things again. Remember emotions? Remember those things, Eric? So those came back. and and I really do it like attribute that to this community of improv that I joined, and it helped me just gain stability. You know, I've never before have I ever used my calendar app until improv. So now I have to schedule
Wow.
everything. I have to schedule everything. Like, oh, I have a class this day. Oh, workshop this
All
day.
the
Oh, I have to hang out.
practices,
Yeah,
shows.
practice for
Yeah.
this team, this show this time. Oh, hang out with this person, dinner with this person, guitar jam with this person. Like, oh, let's brainstorming with this person. Time for myself. Like, I
Right.
have to schedule
Gotta
every
put
single
that too.
thing. So it's like I've never done that before in my life, and it's like, and it feels good. Honestly, it feels like I'm doing something that's fulfilling and to me and to my soul and my spirit, and I get to do the favorite thing in the world is make others laugh. That's
Hmm.
the best feeling ever, just to make people laugh. Because it's get that. That's my new drug, right? The dopamine that I get from from making people
For
laugh.
sure. I think I'm still sometimes at the surprise level, like, oh, that was funny. Okay, what did I do there?
Yeah,
That was actually funny.
yeah, right. I know I've done jokes on stage where I didn't even realize I made a joke. Like
Yeah.
we did some scene the other week with the E&D Chronicles where like my character's like in love with the coroner girl, some made up character, and I'm like, yeah, she can deadlift, and I was like, oh, I was talking about the exercise, but oh, she's literally lifting a dead body. I didn't get
Oh,
that. I just it like went over my head, and I said it. I'm the one that said it. And everyone's laughing. I'm like, what's so funny? I'm just saying deadlift. And yeah, so
right.
just it just the funny comes out when you're just being yourself or being a character, being real, responding. And I attribute all that to being sober from improv and being more stabilized and a lot more happy. I'm not on any antidepressants or anything like that. People still get sad here and there, but I definitely am not where I was before. I'm in a
Yeah.
tunnel of light now.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. I'm clapping for you. You can't see, but I'm clapping for you.
I think I heard it.
That's huge.
Oh, there
There
it
you
is. Yeah,
go.
thank you. I'll take a bow.
That's huge, and I mean, like, a year's a huge deal. A month, for you doing it every day you don't do it is a huge deal, and then a week and a month and 2 months, 3 months, it's all a huge deal. Celebrate that.
Yeah, honestly, even a day, if you do a day, if you do 2 days, if you're on that journey of doing that for yourself, just celebrate it Don't minimalize it.
Mm-hmm.
Like for instance, I've sober 6 days this year. Like just that's a little accomplishment, right?
Absolutely. And I do love that you noticed, like, on the back line, that, like, oh, I need to focus more. Like, I'm
Yeah,
not able to pay attention when I'm high and in scenes,
right.
which, by the way,
Mhm.
I don't think I could ever do. I'm like, I struggle sober, so I'm like, oh yeah, I'm doing it. And I know they have shows like that where you like drink or you're on something and you try to do an improv scene, and it usually doesn't go that well, even for the experienced improvisers.
Right. Yeah,
Um,
it's like,
so
maybe we'll have a drinking night where people were drinking and like, "Oh, let's do a drunk jam." And then it's never it's never a good thing.
no. But I'm amazed though that you found the community to be so helpful though. It's improvisers in general, I'm generalizing, but they're very positive people. Saying yes and can help you say yes and to other things in life. And the community of improvisers really helped you through this.
Yeah. Honestly, it's a very supportive crowd. I feel very, very grateful to have taken the plunge and jumping in.
What do you do? If I'm prying, tell me. What do you do when things get hard? You're like, oh, I just want to have a drink, or I just want to have a smoke, and like you don't have improvisers around.
Okay, that's a good question because it does happen. An addict is never cured; they're just always in
Uh huh.
recovery. So I still get cravings sometimes. Maybe I'll smell a skunk, even roadkill. Be like, smells like
Right?
weed,
Yeah, for sure.
or I'll smell weed itself because we're in San Diego, everyone smokes it. And I'll
Hmm.
get a craving, but I'll be like, okay, I shouldn't do that because I know what it's gonna make me feel like. I'm not gonna. I'm almost sometimes jealous of people that can enjoy themselves when they're high because I get just all in my head and start overthinking things. But if I ever get cravings, I like to go
Hmm.
out in nature. I like to go hiking. Um, I've been playing my guitar more, so that's another thing that happened because of not smoking weed. Surprisingly, I've been more creative, right? So I've been playing
Yeah.
guitar. I've written I think I've written a couple of songs, original songs. I posted one, but I'm still kind of working on it. It's very bare bones, and I used to play a lot of video games, and I haven't been doing that like I used to. I have this PlayStation 5 that I have in a box that I have not opened yet, and I've had it for
What? Get
17 months.
out.
No, I got it for my birthday. I got myself a PS5 for my birthday. I even wrapped it in a gift wrap. It's still unopened because I'm so
Why haven't
busy.
you been?
I'm
Oh,
just
because you're
so
so busy.
busy, and I'm just like, do I want to play this? So it's kind of like on my shelf.
Yeah.
I'll get to it. I'll get to it. I'll get to it. I still love video games. I just not as huge of a gamer as I used to be because I got all this other stuff that's more sociable in a way. I get to go outside, talk to people, and interact and learn about real
Yeah.
experiences. So definitely find other ways to get your kicks, like hiking, music. I'm trying to get into drawing, like or painting,
Yeah.
watercolors. It's pretty cool. But I'm not an artist in that way. At any, I cannot draw, but we all try.
Yeah, that's you don't have to be a quote unquote artiste or even an
Yeah,
actor to do
yeah.
improv or to paint or draw. It's really the act of doing it. And I on a previous episode, I had Sonny Mayo, who is a rock to recovery facilitator, and they're in Southern California, and they help people with addiction by playing music. So they'll go in for an
Ooh,
hour. They'll go into like a facility, a treatment facility or mental health facility, and they'll have an hour with the people. And by the end of the hour, they are playing a song that is improvised. So they bring in instruments, they write a song and play a new improvised song within an hour. And it's all because of that creativity piece. That creativity can help with addiction and healing. and and all that that goes into it. So it's really cool to hear your story and hear how you've used creativity to help you with healing.
Yeah, creativity is a powerful tool. I definitely had a writer's block for a long time, to be honest. Years. Something that many people
Yeah.
struggle with. And reading also helps. I read this book. Well, I took this class actually. It was an online class. We met once a week for 12 weeks, and we did the Artist's Way. I don't know if you've heard of it, by Julia
I've heard
Cameron.
of
It's
the book,
actually,
and yeah, I think I have it. I think I bought it and haven't done anything with it. Yeah, of course.
it's a good book. The one takeaway I have taken away from it and still do is ow, my cat's trying to bite me because she wants attention. The one takeaway I got from that book is the morning pages, which is I believe something similar to something Nick talked about in a previous episode, where you just kind of just dump your thoughts on a piece of paper or 3 pages of paper. Just write,
Mhm.
write, whatever it is. Even if you don't know what you're writing, just write. I don't know what I'm writing. I don't know what I'm writing. Just write it over and over, and eventually you get all that muddied water out of your mind, clear it out, clear all those ruminating thoughts, and it really helps with negative self-talk and all these different things. So you can wake up, get rid of all that stuff, and your day just feels so much better. And that's like the one thing I've taken from that book that I still do to this day. Is essentially journaling. It turns into journaling, but you're just
Yeah.
writing, just nonsense sometimes. It's just a bunch of stuff. It's just all the muddied water in your mind, and it's a good exercise to do to clear out that writer's block. Be creative.
For sure. I love that visualization of muddy water in your mind and like letting it out on the paper too, because I just usually refer to it as journaling, but I like that because there's a lot of muddy water up here for sure. And you just sometimes have to get it out. But to go back to your nature piece too, and being out in nature whenever you're feeling a little tempted, I remember you doing that at camp. I don't know if you were feeling tempted at camp because we did have alcohol. We had a bar at night that we would drink and stuff. But I remember you like going out and looking at the stars. You're like, okay,
Oh,
peace out. I'm gonna go lay out under the stars and look at all the stars, which there are tons that you could see in
they were
Yosemite.
beautiful.
That was cool. Was that the reason you went out, or just because it was so cool and nice outside?
It was just because it was so cool and nice outside. Honestly, their
Yeah.
improv folks at the camp were very supportive of you not drinking. They didn't question it or offer you drinks.
Right. Right.
They just mind their own business, really. And I wanted just to check out the stars because I think the Milky Way was out on one night, and I got a nice
Yeah.
picture of it on my phone because I got the new iPhones are so crazy. They got that night exposure, but you could see the Milky Way streak in the sky and all the stars, and it was just beautiful. And it was summertime, so the night was crisp. It wasn't cold.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, that was the main reason. I just wanted some solitude with nature. Just kind of reflect on, we're on this speck of mud floating in space. Really, for lack of a better word, right? We're just a big old ball of mud floating through endless nothingness.
It definitely puts it in perspective. We are a lot smaller than we think we are on Earth sometimes. Compared to the universe, we are just little tiny
Oh yeah,
specks of mud. And then
yeah,
we've also got a little muddy water in our heads, so there's just a lot of
yes.
mud
It all
around.
comes back full circle.
Well, and Eric, so I mean, you've been acting for a while, you're taking these improv classes, you're on a ton of teams and doing a lot of shows, your calendar is full. Where do you see your improv journey heading from here?
Well, I think I'll always be an improv student, as in, you can never really master this art form, or
Mhm.
be, you can never be perfect at it. You're always learning something new. So, but I see myself eventually teaching. I feel like I'd love to get to the
Yeah.
point where I can teach improv, and not just like in an improv uh theater, but perhaps teaching improv to the less fortunate, kind of bringing an improv
Yeah.
out to people, bringing the improv to them, kind of like almost like a Patch Adams, but to everybody. Doing some improv for people with mental health issues, people with homelessness, people in hospitals, just to share that dopamine hit. you know, give them that
Yeah,
give them that little
for
boost of energy,
sure.
laughter that just comes so naturally for everybody if they just take the plunge.
Well, I'll say what you said earlier when I manifested my dream. Just you got to put it out there, and it can certainly be done. You can dream it, you can do it, it can be done. That's a great dream. That's an amazing dream too.
Yeah, it's definitely doable. Just gotta keep working at it, and keep evolving, keep adding tools to your toolbox, and eventually I will get there.
Mhm. Yeah, and I do love the transformative effects that improv has. I mean, certainly with you sharing your story, and I think everybody we meet in improv classes, it's like improv has just helped me so much in life. And that's usually not the reason people sign up. Usually it's for like a career skill or to meet people, but the added benefits of it's huge.
Definitely has some applications to real life, other than just being on stage and being silly. It definitely has it builds confidence, definitely, and it builds just you being more open to newer experiences. And like you said, I think it's helped you with just public speaking in general, right? So it's good for that.
Yes. Oh, for sure. It has definitely helped me
Oh
with
yeah.
public speaking. I had a decent public speaking foundation by the time I found improv, but it helped me like level up my public speaking at that point to just like a level I never thought I could even be at too. Cause
Mhm.
at that point I was so like rehearsed and I was trying to memorize word for word. And improv just kind of gave me the confidence and the feeling that I don't have to do that. I can actually trust that I know this story, I know what I'm going to say, and how I put it out there is how it's going to go, and feel good about that.
That's great. I mean, you're always going to get butterflies in your stomach, but to know that that's just a normal feeling everyone gets, and you know the things you're going to talk about, they're in your head, and just helps you relax a little more and get in tune with that stuff, so you don't blank out.
And I actually feel comfortable with I don't have a lot of blank out moments, at least with public speaking, but sometimes I do. They still happen, and it's like just like breathe through it, be calm, it's okay. Or if you're like trying to recall something, that's a little usually where I blank out is when I'm trying to recall like a movie name or someone's name or the title of something or a quote. And it's like, okay, well, I don't know the quote right now, but this is how it is, and this is why it made me think of this, and that's all okay. Letting go of perfection too.
Right. Right. Yes. Because I don't think, no matter how hard you try, you can never achieve perfection. It's a pipe
Well,
dream.
yes, exactly. And it's something that you don't have to strive for either. And I want to talk more about public speaking too with you, because I know you do the Voice Box, which is a storytelling show. So I want to take the quickest of breaks and then come back and talk about storytelling and public speaking more. So we'll be right back.
We'll be right back after these messages. Hi, does your cat bite your ankles? Meow. Does your cat love attention, but only on her terms? Well,
I want those
introducing
ankles now. Meow.
introducing Petacat, the newest Petacat app for you. Just set the timer, and it'll pet your cat at whatever interval you want it to, so it can stop bothering you when you're busy, because it never wants attention any other time.
You can pet your cat now for 10 seconds.
All right, here it comes. Here's your petting. There we go. And time is up.
And time is up.
Order now for 40 payments of $10.99 and 3 very difficult payments of $5.99.
Whoa, only 40 payments of $10.99. Wow.
That's right.
I think I can afford that.
You sure can, or we'll garner your wages.
But those difficult payments sound really hard, so I don't know.
Don't worry. We'll find your social security number and we'll garnish your wages.
Because petting your cat is way too important to worry about difficult payments. Pet them today. We can help.
Brought to you by CNC Company.
This podcast brought to you by laughing. Have you laughed today?
And laughter.
Open up your can of laughter today.
Wow, I feel that dopamine hit already, little Timmy. That's right, Billy. And just like you, anyone can feel happy. Wow, really? That's right, Billy.
With the laughter can, only 20 easy payments of $20.99 and 100 hard payments of $2.99.
Wow. I wonder how those hard payments are going to be taken from me. I can just pay them easily, right? No, we're going to make it hard on you.
They're very hard. They're not that much, but they're very hard.
Oh, I love it.
Laughter can. Get it today. Welcome back, everyone. We're going to get back on track instead of just improvising commercials all day, which we could, and we could do very well. But we're going to talk about public speaking and storytelling. And Eric, you mentioned this earlier, that you're in the Voice Box show at Finest City Improv, which is a storytelling show. First, can you tell us more about the show that was created by a few others too?
Yes. Well, the show is originally from Chicago, and that's where
okay.
my good friend Jean Dietrich is from. And me and her went through the improv levels 1 through 6. She was on Fish Milk with me.
Nice.
And she wanted to bring something new to the improv theater. And so they opened up, the first Sunday of every month for more, non-improv shows, like a clown show, a music show. And in this case, it was a storytelling show. So the Voice Box is just, they have a theme song every month. It's usually like, this month is Changes by David Bowie.
Yeah,
And
so cool.
You just, honestly, it's just like an improv suggestion. You get a word and you go, all right, thank you, audience. So you get a song, and whatever that song makes you think about, anything at all, a lyric from that song, a word, a feeling, the title of the song, just anything at all, and you tell a true story from your life. And it doesn't have to be, bearing your soul out to the world. It just has to be a real story that happened to you. And so Jean brought that over from Chicago. I think she spoke to the founder of that show in Chicago. I think her name is Maureen, and she was all for it. She's like, yeah, do it, please. So we kind of brought that over here, and we've been doing it for, I think, 8 months now. Yeah,
Nice.
7 or 8
That's
months.
awesome.
And it average about 3 storytellers per show. And so the format of the show is we start the show with performing the song of the month. So
Oh, cool.
Dave Bowers on the guitar and vocals, Gene on the piano and vocals, and they sing the song, they sing the intro. They sing the song, whatever it is, and then they go into the storytelling. Person tells her 6 to 10 minute story. We try to keep it short because Dave has to remember a bunch of details from your story because he's going to then do an improvised song on the spot about your story.
Whoa.
So it kind of like
That's
serenades
cool.
you about whatever you talked about, and they usually come out really funny. They're really great. They're really personal to you, and so it was just a different change of pace, where we can be more real. We're always being silly here at the theater. Let's bring something else to it. So kind of gave me a chance to show people the different side of me. Oh, everyone always sees me as the silly man there at the because that's what I am, really. But I was
Eric the silly man.
Erick the silly man Escalante, yes. And that's just me all my life. I've been a silly man because take after my hero, Robin Williams, just being a silly man all the time.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
I've developed Robin Williams arms syndrome. Yes, so I got hairy arms. But it was a cathartic release, really, of
Mhm.
things that were kind of just I wanted to share with the world and share that even the silliest person you see might not be so happy on the inside, and they might have some stuff they've been holding down or hiding, and they just want to like let the world know that it's going to be okay, that things can be serious and be real, and you can just be in a safe space to tell those personal stories, whether they're funny or serious or in between, and just feel comfortable enough to do that in front of an audience. And
Yeah. That's
it's
huge.
yeah, it's pretty huge. So I think I've told 2 stories so far, and then this
What
Sunday
have
will
your
be my
stories been about?
well, the epic saga called Clown to Cope. I titled it Clown to Cope.
Ooh.
Yeah. So first one was about how being bullied as a child, and how I used comedy and clowning, like just clowning around, to sort of
Mhm.
deal with it and uh, not be so sad about it, and how comedy is just a big part of my life. And I used to watch Robin Williams and Chris Farley growing up, and I just like would emulate them, and so that was, I think the first one was mostly about that. I touched on some other things with my friend that I spoke about earlier with the accident. And then the second one was about, was part 2 of the saga. It was a more continuation of just me opening up to the world, really, about a little bit more of Erick that they don't know about.
Mhm.
And it was about just all the stages of growing up. Because the last song I did it to was, I think it was called 7 Years Old. Once
Okay.
I was 7 years old.
Yeah.
So I kind of use that as a theme for my story. So I kept like changing, once I was 17, once I was 25, once I was 30. Just telling like different little excerpts from my life and how you'll overcome challenges, and you never know what people have gone through just by looking at them. And so this one's about change. The newest one's about change and changing. Definitely about the sobriety. I have a lot of that in there. About loving yourself, about love in general, how a lot of people escape the inner work that they have to do on themselves by quote unquote falling in love, and hoping this other person will fix them for them when they have, a lot of the times really it's a lot of inner work that has to be done because they don't love themselves, so they want somebody else to love them. And it can be like a dangerous drug that can be an addiction as well, just chasing that next partner that's you're hoping is going to fix your problems, but you're the only one that can change yourself. And yeah, it's about that, talking about that, and how change is important in life, and you can't stay stagnant, you can't stay the same for too long. The mind and body just craves change, and that's what I'm going to be discussing in my next part 3 of the saga.
Wow. Okay, so the stories are 6 to 10 minutes, right?
6 to 12. Sometimes they get a little
6
longer.
to 12.
But
I was going to say that's a lot to fit in. And
it
I
is a
mean,
lot
that's
to fit in. I've definitely gone to the 15-minute mark. And it's like, I think after 8 minutes, Dave is just like, oh God, there's too much information for me to remember to make up a song about you. So we try to, like, for Dave's sanity, we'll try to keep it short. But yeah, so sometimes it's a lot to say. I think we had one person talk for 20 minutes one time.
Yeah, it's
And
easy to do when you get vulnerable. It's easy. The time flies.
it does. Yeah, it does. And it's a cathartic release, really, for me personally. I'm sure for others too. It's just to be able to, like, express yourself and, like, give this little personal piece of yourself to others that don't know that about you yet. And be in a safe space, maybe cry together. It's okay.
Yeah.
And I really do enjoy doing the voice box. It's a good thing that San Diego could use, and I'm not really sure if they do anything similar to this, but this is what we do.
Have you heard of The Moth before? Because it's kind of similar to that.
I have not. Maybe I have.
It's a storytelling organization, but they'll tour around, and there might be some in San Diego, but they don't have the music piece to it. So the improvised music piece is really cool. And then that reminds me too of Risk, which is that's a podcast as well, and they tell stories of people taking crazy risks, like whoa, crazy risks. And then I think they'll do maybe some music at the end, but I don't know if it's improvised or not. But I love the spin with the theme and the music and then the stories with it. Can I ask you, so this will be your third time this weekend, you've done 2. Have you learned any, like, lessons or takeaways about storytelling specifically by participating in these? Like, any tips to share that you've learned?
Yes. So storytelling in person is much different than storytelling, like, in a book. Because in a book,
Yeah.
you can just, like, decorate your sentences and make them so beautiful and elegant and, so descriptive of certain things. But in a speech or in a live performance, you got to be more concise and just get to the point. And and also just slowing down, also not speeding through the whole thing. That's a thing
Which is
that's
hard when you're vulnerable. You're like, I just want to speed through it.
yeah, you want to speed through. Yeah, that's one thing definitely that I've learned, is just to not talk so fast and just try to breathe, do some breathing exercises, and keep it concise, dude. Say only the important things, because everything else is just filler. It's not a book, it's not a novel, it's a short story, it's nonfiction, it's real. I always do. I can't help myself, but I got to add a little comedy to it. Every time I tell a story, I come out with a scroll. I have a scroll, and I'm like, I've prepared a short story for you all, and then I unravel the scroll, just like it falls to the ground and it rolls on the ground, and that's just like my opening bit to disarm them. Just like, oh, it's funny, and then I tell them this true story.
Right.
So it's like I gotta add some comedy in there, so it's not so heavy.
Well, yeah, and comic relief is, I mean, that's why it's in there, because sometimes things are just too heavy and you need that comic relief. So it's not a bad thing to be in there. Just if you're relying on it too much, then if it's a crutch or something too. So it's a
Right.
nice balance. Find a good balance of it. I'm sure you do in your story.
Yeah, that's another thing. Yeah, you learn to find the balance, just doing it over and over. And I'm sure you've done it so many times. You found what works for you, what doesn't work for you.
Still learning. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, storytelling's hard, and your tip on saying only the important details, I go down the story hole all the time. I'm realizing this in my solo episodes and the podcast. I'm like, good Lord, I went down the story hole there. Like they all these minor details, it's when you're just kind of going, you don't even realize how long it takes. And then you're like, whoa, okay. So I'm definitely guilty of that, going down the story hole too.
Yeah, we all
Like,
are.
stay on track. What's important here?
Yeah, and it's like a muscle. You got to train it. It's just like when we speak, we do the ums and ohs and ums. It's just
Mhm.
in a story, those are whole words, whole sentences sometimes that don't need to be there.
That's so true. Yeah. And one or two, it's fine. Just if it's excessive, then that's taking up some time in your story or taking away the audience from your story too. So yeah, it's can be really hard, but I've been in a lot of Toastmasters meetings where people just feel comfortable sharing their stories, like their deepest, like scariest, like worst stories ever, like worst experiences of their lives, stories. And to hear them and have someone feel comfortable sharing them is so powerful. So I'm sure in that room, the show is this weekend, like I'm sure it'll be a very powerful room of people sharing stories.
Yes, it always is. It's always a good safe space there. Never
Mhm.
feel embarrassed or anything.
Yeah, I mean, I'm proud of you. I that always feels weird, but, like, I'm
Thanks,
that's
mom.
amazing. You should I know, right? It's such like a mom that's my mom comment for the day. "I'm proud of you, son." Like, but anyway,
No, but
I
thank you,
you
thank you,
should be
though.
proud of you. You should be
Yes,
proud of yourself, though, for sharing this, like, putting yourself out there, because so many people internalize it, and you got to think too that you sharing the story, someone could hear it and say, I'm dealing with this or something similar. Knowing I'm not alone is huge, and just that helps someone. You're done. I mean, that's all that matters, and you're helping yourself too.
it's like a therapy, free therapy in a way.
It really is. It so is. You got to release those stories. Like, it's like you said, it's cathartic, it's healing.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Speaking of, I guess I'm going to segue from healing from trauma to maybe creating trauma,
Mhm.
which I think you might do for some people
Oh,
when you're a scare actor at the haunted trails at Balboa Park. Um, I think this is so cool and fascinating. One, because okay, I went to Universal Studios Horror Nights. I want to make sure, it always sounds weird if I short Horror Nights.
yes,
Um,
yes,
if you go fast, it's like, where'd you go? I went to Studios Horror Nights last
yes.
October, like 2021 October, and I'm not gonna lie, I didn't love it. Haunted houses aren't my thing. I don't willingly choose to go to scary things like that. And I didn't go back in 2022 just because it's not my thing, but it's your thing. And I've seen you posted a lot of videos and pictures of you as a scare actor, dressed in costume and everything. What brings you to what draws you to this scare actor performance?
Oh, I'm glad you asked, Dana. Because not only do I heal people from trauma, I create it. No, I'm kidding. Um, yeah, well, I mean, you're right. Not the being scared is not for everybody, and some people get dragged to those things. Some people love getting scared. I love scaring people just as much as they like being scared, and of course, there's the ones that don't. But I've been wanting to do this for a long time. There's another thing too that I've been wanting to do for a long time, and I just never did it because didn't believe in myself, didn't have the confidence. But with the improv and everything, let's build up all that good self-esteem and confidence. I was able to finally do it. A friend told me that I would be perfect for it, and I said, "You think so?" And I was like, "Okay, I think I'll audition for it." So I sent my application, brought my headshot, got called for an audition, did the audition, got hired, and I was like, "Okay, well, let's see what this is all about." And it's pretty fun, I'll tell you that. They do your makeup for you. And you don't know what you're gonna do. You can request
Oh,
certain things,
really?
like so you can request certain things, like say you liked to be like I loved to be the rodeo clown. Those are the ones that have the chainsaws and also like a fake bat. Well, I had a
I
fake
hate
bat
those
with,
people. I hate those people.
and and of course I have to add a little comedy to it. So I had the bat with the nails in it. It's fake. It's all fake. It's foam.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, it looks real though. It looks so real. And I would have gloves on. And I put a doggy squeaky toy in there, so I would squeak when I'm swinging at them. Because and then just to disarm them, because right after that it's the chainsaw people, which is so fun.
Right.
So we trade off here and there because swinging a chainsaw for 4 hours, you're doing kettlebell swings for 4 hours, pretty hard workout. So we trade off, give each other breaks, and it is
Yeah.
so fun. It is so fun. I'll tell you that. 'Cause it's a real chainsaw without the chain. They take the chain off, but people love it and they hate it so much. It's so fun. You get to do a lot of improvised stuff because there's no script for anything. They just kind of tell you like, you're in Ghost Town today. So you're kind of an old Western type. So do Western stuff, like howdy partner, and then, or in a weird tone. And then
Ah.
in the rodeo, you're like a hillbilly clown. So there's a lot of like yeehawing and woohoo, and a lot of dancing, a lot of like I was doing the flossing dance a lot because they'd be coming out of one room and I'm just there like dancing. They're like just see this one clown just dancing. I'm like, oh, what's this guy up to? And then I pull out the bat, and then they're like, oh shit. And I run at them and I ask them silly, you don't need both knees, do you? And or if I'm the chainsaw guy, just chase him with the chainsaw. You always go for the squealers though, because some people go there to be really macho. They just stand there.
That was
like,
my question.
no, affects me.
You
Yeah.
go after the people who are like that react, right? If they react, you're gonna bother them even more.
Yes, that's the whole thing. If they react,
That's my goal.
to just be like stoic, just like no reaction.
Yeah, I'm like RBF, I'm not gonna be scared, arms crossed, you will not scare me. And then I get like a friend is like, ah, and I'm like, don't, you're gonna draw attention to us. Like we're just gonna walk with our arms folded across this patch of crazies that are trying to hit us with a bat and stuff. And I'm like, ah, don't react, don't react.
Really fun, really fun. So many roles I got to do. We got to do like a crazy possessed Christmas elf. I got to do a zombie. I got to do the insane asylum clown, which you're like it's like a little corridor with padded walls, and there's literally two lanes: the lane that I'm standing in, and the lane that people have to walk by me, and then I switch halfway through, and then move through the crowd, and they don't always see me. They're just like talking to their friend, and they're like, "Oh my god, what the hell is that?" Those are the best too when they're like distracted. Like they turn around and like, "Hey guys, why are you guys lagging?" And I just run at them like at full speed. So when they turn around, they see this person in their face. That's the best. Got to do the Ghost Town. Got to do. I was Mary Had a Little Lamb for a couple of nights, so they put me in like.
I think I remember that picture or video you posted. I mean, it'll haunt your dreams. Like, it'll give you nightmares for a while. Just even seeing that video.
The airbrush makeup artists were so good. They beautified me wonderfully. And I got to sing. They scarified me. I got to sing like in a female voice, which I love doing, and then I switched it up halfway, like, "Come here, you." So a lot of
Oh
people think you're a
God.
woman at first, and then you pull out the guy voice, like, oh shit, this is a dude. It's so good. Even with the grease paint, because the airbrush paint's water based if you don't sweat too much. But if you're wearing grease paint, you kind of need that if you're sweating. But it still kind of runs, and when it runs, it looks even creepier. It was just so fun, good experience to also like building a community within the scare actors. They're all really cool people.
Okay.
You know, they're very like
Yeah.
welcoming, and they're very like, oh, I got a tip for you. Like, oh, I did this thing and it worked out really well in this room. So, if you get that room, they'll give you tips and like, oh, this is the secret spot right here. Like, you bust around this corner and they don't expect it, or it's just
Yeah, it takes a special person, I think, to want to be a scare actor because I kind of forget that it's actually people in these roles. Like, I know it's people, but I just forget that there's like a nice person on the other side. There's an Eric on the other side of this person who's chasing me with a chainsaw or like jumping out of a green wall like that I didn't see. Like, it's an actual nice person, but it takes a special person to want to scare the bejesus out of people.
yeah, and people want it so much they bring it back every year. And this is my first year, and
They
I'm
do,
definitely going
yeah.
to come back. I'm definitely coming back for this year. Yeah, this year.
Ye-
It's very tiring though. It's a lot of work. It's just like
Oh, I'm sure.
running around and chasing people at certain points. Some rooms you just stand there and like pop around a corner. But some rooms, like the outside ones, there are a lot of chasing people. But you don't chase them up to a certain point. It was
Right.
very, very fun. I'll tell you that. I enjoyed it a lot. It's like the only time
Well,
I'm legally allowed to chase somebody with the chainsaw and not get arrested.
right, right. And I'm always worried about afterwards, like when I walk out of the park, that like, because my reflexes have been like tested and I've been like ignoring people with like bats and chainsaws. And it's like, okay, if anything needs to
Oh,
happen,
God.
or if anything happens now, like I have to react. Like I've been suppressing my reactions for a while and nothing ever happens, of course. And I don't want to give any ideas, but like, it's like, okay, actually have reactions now. You're in real life.
Right, right. Yes. Don't ever let your guard down. Some people
Yeah.
like love being
And
scared. They just love it. Like they'll play along with you and they'll, like, I'm so scared, chase me. Like some people love it. And then
bunch
there's
of
their boyfriend or
sickos. I
girlfriend.
don't
Yeah.
know.
Bunch of sickos, yeah. It's great. And I
No,
saw a
they're
bunch of improv people that came by and I would like recognize them like, oh, and I call them by name and they'd be like,
oh,
what the hell is that? Like, hi there, James. Oh shit. Oh,
oh man,
it's you. And then I rev the chainsaw and they're like, oh God.
that's terrifying. Yeah.
Yeah, a few people. I think I even saw a few students. I was like, oh shit, it's that student. And they have no idea it's me right now. I'm scaring the crap out of them.
Right. That's more power to you. This is not my thing, but people will willingly pay for it to get scared and get their scare tested. I think, yeah, like you said, some people are
Yeah.
macho, like, you can't scare me. And then
Yeah.
something will pop out and scare them, no
Yeah.
doubt.
No, there's a few that were like, I'm not scared, and then I scared them, and I just laugh. Got you, got him.
Got you.
Another friends laugh at them because it's like this guy's trying to be all macho, but he got scared. It's funny. It's humbling. It's humbling for some people. I
Well, and
loved
you
it.
worked at Comic-Con too, right? Like you do characters at Comic-Con?
It was the first year doing that as well. Uh, you know,
Man.
and that all those opportunities opened up because of improv. I was, the improv community posted like, oh, auditions for Comic-Con thing. I was like, it had just said like
Yeah.
fantasy medieval thing because they were being very cryptic about it. And I was like, all right, I'll do this. They wanted you to send in like a classical monologue, like a 1 minute reel.
Oh, cool.
So I did like a Shakespeare thing. It took me like 3 hours to film it with my friend for like a minute of
Oh, I'm
footage
sure. Yeah,
because
no
he
doubt.
was like directing me. My good friend Jeff Ferrer, who does video production and cinematography and directing, and just he's been with me since high school as well, doing theater. He doesn't do
Nice.
improv, but he's more into the film side of it. So he was directing me. He's my personal director. But he
I like it.
helped me out with that and send it in. Got the email that I was in, and they're like, "All right, this is for Game of Thrones House of the Dragon." I was like, "What? This is awesome!" So yeah, I got to be part of the Game of Thrones House of the Dragon Comic-Con activation. That was like they built like a full, no, not a full size, but a huge the Red Keep castle, and then Flea Bottom, like the outside where all the merchants are. That's where we were, and
That's so cool.
they put us in like leather armor, and there was also like an actual metal helmet and actual metal like bracers and certain things. An actual sword, but it's like a sword for theatrical purposes. So it's not sharp, but it is metal, and it just cling and clang, and you got to oil it at the end of the day so it doesn't rust and all that. And it was really fun. Got to network with a lot of people from LA that they're all actors, and
Oh yeah.
I got to meet this guy who Gerard, who was actually on a show called Our Flag Means Death on HBO. He played Blackbeard's father Teach, so he was a very humble guy. I love that guy. One of the coolest people I ever met at the experience. I got to work with a good friend Jason Ott. Me and him were both doing the City Watchman, and my role was great.
Nice.
I was a drunkard, so I was always just mumbling. Everything's improv. Everything was improvised, and I was just kind of mumbling to all the people, and it was hot. I'll tell you that it was hot, but I knew it was going to be hot, so I trained in the sauna for a whole month beforehand. Spending
Wow.
20 minutes in the sauna, spending 30 minutes in the sauna, spending an hour in the sauna, just being prepared. So I was fine, but some other people were like not fine. They had to be like sent home because of heat exhaustion and whatnot. But it was great. Got to be in a viral video with the Huxley the panda puppy. Like a 15-second video that got like 3.5 million views. I was like, wow, that's insane. It's like literally me. I think a little cute little Pomeranian that looks like a little panda, and the influencers, the owners were there, and they're like, we were just kind of riffing with them, like in our British accent, our best British accent we could.
Right.
Yeah, because we're Game of Thrones land. We have British accents, and I named him Huxley the Dread, the dreaded
Huxley the Dread.
Huxley the Dread, and every single dog we saw was a direwolf. Just doesn't matter what breed it was. It was a direwolf, and I loved it. It attacked me with kisses. It was very fun. We got to meet we saw George R. R. Martin. So many people.
Oh, you did?
We saw him. Yeah, he was right in front of us. Yeah, we had to wear masks that day. He was wearing a mask, and we saw all the actors. All the actors from Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon were there, and but they were they didn't want to talk to us. They're like, we lived through that already. We want to go mingle.
We've worn these costumes before. Yeah.
So
we've been there. We've done that.
So many people, famous people, and people waited in line 8 hours to just do this 15-minute thing, and it was worth it.
Yeah, I'm sure it was for them. Sounds like it was worth it for you. I love just hearing how much you put yourself out there, just even in the last year. Like you've just been putting yourself out there.
Yeah. And
doing all the things.
From that Game of Thrones thing, Jason Ott told me about the Dinner Detective. And there were some other actors there at the Game of Thrones thing as well that were in the Dinner Detective. And they said, you should audition for that. You'd be good for that. And so I did. And I auditioned for the Dinner Detective. That's they hold it here at the Marriott in downtown San Diego every Saturday at 7 p.m. You get your tickets at thedinnerdetective.com, and you will see.
Oh, nice!
You'll get a dinner and a show, and it's all comedy. So it's like a murder mystery. You're part of the show, and you're trying to solve this mystery of who killed who and why, and it's pretty fun. I'm into that. I'm also doing that now. So, I'm doing some stuff that gets me money too. So it's working out.
Yeah. Well, and it's all because you're saying yes and to things, and I mean, just doing all
Yeah.
the stuff. You know, you're having a yes and mindset, a growth mindset. I I mean, my question for you is how do you embody a yes and or growth mindset in your life? I think you've kind of answered it, but
You
anything
just
else
don't
to add
stop.
about yes and yes and
Well,
mindset and growth mindset?
those, there's a limit to it for sure. People keep telling me
Yeah,
about burnout. It's like, you can't understand everything. You gotta set limits for
it's
yourself.
true.
I think I've found the right amount of balance because the Game of Thrones thing is once a year, or the Comic-Con thing is once a year.
Mhm.
So I'm definitely auditioning for that this year. The Halloween trail is once a month, once a year. Dinner Detective is
Wait,
all year round, and you don't always perform every Saturday. And the improv is weekly, and that's kind of like
yeah.
the warm ups, the practices, and it's it's good to yes and things. Just gotta just limit yourself a little bit. Put some boundaries on yourself because me, it's always I feel like I'm almost like making up for all this lost time that I lost from being drunk and stoned all the time, just sitting in my apartment and playing video games all day and just like wallowing in my own misery. But now I'm out there and putting myself out there and getting all these opportunities, and I'm very happy about it. And I think anyone can do that, really, even if you're not in an addiction. So I have an addictive personality, but now I'm addicted to healthier things, like hiking
Like
and
s like scaring people.
like scaring people, hiking, playing some music, exercising, trying to eat healthier. That's always the hardest thing because food is delicious, as you know.
Mhm. Oh, yeah. Well, you're taking care of yourself. You're saying yes and to taking care of yourself, and that was the decision you made when you went cold turkey. You said yes and
Yeah.
to yourself
Yes.
instead of your addiction.
That's the biggest yes and anyone could ever do to themselves is just yes and to their health, mental and
Mhm.
physical. It's something we in a modern day society, we don't focus on so much. More than before, definitely more than before. Um, but a lot of people have that like workaholic mentality where
Mhm.
they just give their all, but they don't see the other side of that, which is once you give your all, you're going to be on empty. So you got to find that right balance to not empty your
Well, and I
tanks.
think that I think that happens to a lot of, new improvisers too, because you get into classes and you're like, "Oh my god, this is so much fun. I need to take all the classes all at once because it's just so much fun, and I don't wanna stop doing improv ever because it's the coolest thing." I definitely hit that.
Yeah,
So,
we all go
um,
through that.
just take it easy, and there will always be classes to take, and
Yes,
just every class you take, you meet super cool people, and just enjoy that time in class is what I have to remind myself.
yes. Just pace yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Um, Eric, you're doing all the things. I mean, you're busy. You're a busy guy. You got lots of shows and lots of characters going on too at different times of the year. Where can our listeners find out more about you and the events and shows going on that you're in?
Well, I do post mostly everything onto my Instagram story whenever I'm going to do an improv show or any show, really. So you can follow me on Instagram at Gray Fox Alias. That's Gray with an E. And I also have a few other uh, Instagrams. Like we have the Voicebox Instagram. That's the Voicebox underscore San underscore Diego Instagram. And then we have the Voice Bros, which was our improv impersonation short form comedy team. And that's
Oh,
Voice Bros
nice.
underscore Bros Instagram. And then we have the Breaking the News improv team that I'm part of now. And that's Breaking the News underscore improv. And it's just like a improvised newscast that's, They got all the headlines, but none of the facts.
Oh, I love it. Oh,
It's great.
next time I'm in San Diego, I want to go. I love like news stuff like that. That's fun.
And more recently, right now, I am doing the E&E Chronicles, which is me and my friend Emily Semino. We're doing like a duo where we're like, it's kind of inspired by Law and Order, but we're just really, really inept detectives, and you just improvise the whole thing. Catch me on Facebook. My name, Erick Escalante. YouTube. I got a YouTube where I upload, mostly all the improv stuff I record. Gray Fox.
Oh, nice.
That's at Gray Fox 0986. And then I have most of the E&D Chronicles on there. And then I also have, where I help my friend out, Jeff, at Roarin Productions. We have the Voice Bros on there and some other productions that we've worked on. Just like independent stuff, really, but it's really good stuff. SoundCloud, where I'm trying to upload music. I had a huge hiatus, like 10-year no uploading anything. But recently I uploaded a song finally, and I am also Gray Fox alias, Gray with an E. I'm on SoundCloud, and you can reach us if you want to do a voice box. You can reach us at voiceboxsd@gmail.com if you feel like you have a story or you have any questions about the show.
That's cool.
Yeah.
How can people apply to be storytellers? Just send you an email?
Send the email asking if there's, if we got a show coming up, what's the song. If they don't see it on the story on my Instagram, they can always email voiceboxsd@gmail.com to find out any information. Starting next week, you can see me on a weekly basis at Finest City Improv as our GPA team, the graduate program team. We're going to be hosting the cage match, I believe, every Thursday or every other Thursday. And so we'll be performing there and we'll be hosting that block of shows. But if I'm not doing that, I'm going to be stage managing. So I'm just like at the theater doing lights and sound and watching shows. That's really a lot. You learn a lot from watching. Good improvisers. So the shows are Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays, mainly at Finest City Improv.
It sounds like you'll be at Finest City. Just go to Finest City. Eric will be
there. Go to Finest City. Go to the finestcity.com and look at the shows coming up. Look for Brown Privilege. Breaking the News team is going to be coming at the 27th at 10 o'clock. So quite a few shows coming up. And every Thursday, I'll probably be there every Thursday with the team hosting the cage match. It's going to be a good time. Currently, I'm doing the cage match with the E&D Chronicles because we've managed to win 5 times so far. We're trying to go for 7.
Woo-hoo.
That's the record right now. We're trying to beat the record. It's fun.
That's amazing.
That's the one thing we're having fun with it. That's the main thing. Like, we're not just trying to we got to win. We're just trying to have fun and try to be as silly and ridiculous as possible. And try new things. And it's my first duo ever. It's really fun being in a duo.
Yeah, honestly. I've never done a duo. That's hard. It took,
we've been with the coach for months and months, and it's been a lot of work in the background to get to this point. And it does take a lot of work. We're still learning, learning. Always a work in progress. That improv.
God, you're busy. I'm just looking at your schedule and going, okay.
Dinner Detective. Catch me at Dinner Detective.
I will put all these in the show notes too, in case you didn't get all of that. I will put all of this in the show notes. This is amazing. I'm on one improv team that's not performing right now, and it's like, okay, wow, that's a lot.
No, yeah, it's quite a lot. It gets a little overwhelming sometimes. Where I'm like, okay, when am I going to hang out with myself? So
remember, you got to schedule that. You got to put that in your calendar too.
I got to put it put it on there. Free day. Nobody else but me.
Yep. And have good boundaries. That's the only time you can always say no, but say no to some things because you've got your self-care booked already.
Definitely. Always take care of yourself. And hope to catch one of you or all of you at the shows. Take an improv class. I know Finest City offers a free trial class if you want to just check it out. And they have the dates on their website.
I've been to Finest City Improv Theater too. Of course, I'm in LA, so it's not close to me in San Diego, but I've been to a show and it's great. So just such a nice theater, nice crowd, nice community. The shows are good. So it's a great place to just hang out and watch shows and meet people too.
Yeah, it's really, really good vibe in that spot. You never feel like you're like, if you had a bad show, that's just, leave that at the stage. Don't take that with you. It lives and breathes on the stage, and then that's it. Because honestly, half the time, if I didn't record it, I did not remember what I said on stage. It's like a fever dream. Improv is like a fever dream.
Which is a good thing. That means you're present.
Right. And you might remember some things if they give you like an emotion. There's some emotion tied to it. You'll remember it, but for the most part, you forget everything because you're having fun.
Yeah. Well, and will you be going to camp again? Are you going to Yosemite again?
I just added myself to the Spain
nice
application because I think they're only taking a few, like I think like 10 or 20 people.
It's a lottery.
It's a lottery, so I just added myself to that lottery, and we'll see if I get to go to Spain. Maybe turn it into a 2-3 week trip. I know, crossing my fingers. But I would love to go back to Yosemite because there's so many things to explore there, other than the people and the great environment with the classes and the I might take a genre next time. I want to go hiking again there because it's just so beautiful, and
it is.
And I'll let somebody else take over for that because usually I plan hikes here. I like over plan. I'll bring like a community water bladder for people that forgot to bring water. I'll bring like 20 headlamps because I like doing night hikes. And they call me Hike Daddy. But I was able to not be Hike Daddy at Yosemite. I let another improviser take care of that. Joey took care of all the planning on that, so I just kind of followed. So I was like, thank you. I could just relax and hike. So
hike.
I want to go back to Yosemite. I know, right? It's silly, but it's a title that I earned.
And you live it well.
Yes. So it's a lot of stuff. I can't wait to go back to camp and see you again, or maybe see you before that. If you're ever in town, come on, say hi.
Absolutely.
It's a good time at camp. I miss it. I think about it all the time. I think about like just good connections you make with people over there.
I will be there as long as I'm able to sign up. I will be at camp, and I should be in San Diego at some point too. So I will definitely check out or come back to Finest City. I'll let you know when I'm in town. Because I think, or I'll just go to Finest City because you'll probably be there too.
Probably be there.
Which is great. I mean, what a place to hang out. That's awesome. Erick, thanks so much for being on, sharing your story. I know that's not easy to share. I appreciate you sharing it with us, and keep going. You've reached the 1 year soberversary. Keep going, get the 2 years, get 3. I mean, every day that you're sober, it matters. So keep going. And I'll just add, I'm proud of you too.
Thanks, Mom. Really though, thank you. That means a lot. And thank you for having me, letting me tell my stories.
And good luck sharing your story on Sunday at the Voice Box too. Can't wait to hear how it goes.
Oh, thank you. Yes, it shall go well.
It shall.
It shall. Well, I really appreciate you having me on my first podcast ever. I can't wait to listen to it and share it with the world and plug in your show.
Absolutely. You did great. First podcast in the books. Mic drop, but really don't drop your mic though.
I'm going to drop it slowly.
And for our listeners, thank you so much for listening today. I'm so grateful for you listening and supporting this podcast. And also a big thank you to Erick for sharing his story. I know that can be really hard, especially with something like sobriety. There can be a lot of shame and emotions around that, and it can be hard to want to tell people that. Sometimes it's easy to just be like, oh, I've always been this way. Like, I've always felt this good or whatever it is. But I feel like with sobriety, it's important to share all the small wins. Like, I've been sober for a day, 2 days, 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 months, a year. Celebrate all the small victories because they're not small. They're actually pretty huge. So celebrate all the huge victories in that you're bettering yourself and your health. And I love that improv was the catalyst for Erick improving his health and well-being and reemerging into the world and tackling his depression. I love that he wanted to listen better on the back line and in scenes. And he was like, I can't do this when I'm high. Like, that's huge that he had that realization and he didn't choose to get high over improv. He was like, I want to do well at this. And he quit cold turkey, which is another huge thing that I guess we didn't really get into, but the improv and the community really helped him through it. So that's huge. All of it's just huge. I know that I use that term huge a lot today, and there's probably better terms to use, but it's awesome. And I'm happy for him. I'm proud of him too, which is a weird mom thing to say. And I'm not a mom, but sometimes my mom moments and my mom comments, my moments come out. And I am very happy for him and his sobriety. And I hope he keeps going, does all the improv and the scare acting and everything else to just stay sober and stay well, because that's the most important thing. And also, can we just talk about for a second the scare acting? Okay. That's wild. I've been to haunted houses. I don't willingly go. It's not really my choice. My voice just cracked, like my choice to go to haunted houses and scary things willingly. It blows my mind that people will pay good money to go to those kind of things. And then there are actors who are playing those characters who love to scare people. And it's cool. It's not my thing, but it's super cool world that I'm going to just view from far away and be amazed that people like this. And I've seen some of Erick's stories and Instagram posts. I remember some of them and they are scary AF. Like, he is there's some with like the strobe lights and then it gets dark and he appears and like, oh my God, that's terrifying. I don't even want to watch the story, much less go, because it's just not my thing. But that's awesome. Good for him. I'm glad he found his niche and he found what he likes to do. Again, I'm so proud of him. We also talked about sharing your story and being vulnerable on stage. And it takes a lot of courage to be able to share your story, but I believe that it is so important to do because someone could be in the audience saying, oh my God, I've been struggling with that too. And I thought I was the only one. And then they hear your story and say, I'm not alone now. That is huge. Again, it's huge. And it's all the reason for you to share your stories too. So I want to ask you, what is the story that you've been wanting to share but you haven't shared yet? You've been nervous or scared to share. You haven't found the right words. I have those stories too. I certainly do. And I haven't wanted to sit down and write it. I haven't wanted to sit down and think about it. It's like, why would I want to open up this Pandora's box of emotions again? Like, I've already kind of processed it. Why would I want to do that? I get it, but also it can help. It can help for me to process it better instead of internalizing it. And it can help me share so that people hear it and it helps them too in something that they're struggling with or trying to process too. And it can be very hard when you're working on your story, not to want to go down the story hole and give all the details. I think I shared this before, but I had a 4-minute speech that I had to do in my Speech 101 class in college, and I spoke for 11 and a half minutes on my Hurricane Katrina experience, and the audience looked so bored and like, when is this girl going to stop talking? Because it was just so much longer. It was so over time. And even if the story is powerful and thrilling and engaging, if it does go way over time, the audience does notice. So you want to find that balance there of staying on time, giving all the necessary, important details that are needed for the story, and then skip the fluff. It's hard. I'm not great at it either. If you've listened to my solo episodes, you know I'm still working on that too, but we can work on that together. So if you have a story that you've been working on or you want to work on, first off, please let me know. I will gladly cheer you on, be in your corner telling you, yes, please keep going. Please share this story. It's so important. Please keep working on it. And if you want help practicing your story and improving it and making it the best story that you can possibly share, I'm happy to help too. We can, one, give you the space and the time to practice. And then two, I use the tools of improvisation and applied improvisation to help you get out of your head a little bit so that you don't feel like you have to write and memorize. You can feel comfortable with the story too, and kind of getting out of your head a little bit and just feeling the story. So please reach out to me if anything resonated with you or you want to talk storytelling or anything else with me. On Instagram, I'm at Improvly Speaking. On LinkedIn, I'm at Dana Gowan. And you can also find out more about me at improvryspeaking.com. Thanks everyone for listening today and supporting Improvly Speaking. Really appreciate you all. Go out and share your stories even when it's hard, because it's very helpful for you and for others. And I look forward to talking with you next time.